Hello again, fish-a-lots. Now, whether you're fishing with your kids in a pond or you're out there fishing for some real trophies, some real giant fish, what you absolutely do not want to happen is your knot breaks. You tied a faulty knot, your knot gives way, and you lose that big fish. That is absolutely worst case scenario, and one that I want you to avoid, hence making this video right here. Now look, I get it. It's hard out there, right? With all the YouTubes and all the internets telling you, I tested 570,000 knots and this one's the best and this one's the strongest and this one's great for line-to-line connections and this one's this and that and the other thing. It's totally overwhelming and it confuses both beginners and very experienced fish-a-lots alike, so I want to simplify it here. I want to get back to the fundamentals fish-a-lots, something that's never talked about on YouTube, something that could save you a ton of time, a ton of headaches, and catch you a lot more fish. There's only one knot that you really have to know that will cover you for just about everything, and it's better known or be more familiar with it as the Uni Knot. That's right, the Uni Knot's actual name is the Universal Fishing Knot. This knot can apply to all sorts of situations, which we're gonna cover step by step in this video. And first we're gonna start with just tying your knot to a simple hook or to a simple lure, and we're gonna move on from there. So let's get into it. And all right, fish-a-lots, to start with, I'm gonna show you just how easy it is to tie a Uni Knot. So first step here, I'm just gonna use a 10-aught circle hook right here, and we're just gonna pass the tag in straight through the hook. You're just gonna pull this line through, okay? So you're gonna have something that looks like that. There's your tag end. Now you're gonna take this tag end right here and just gonna make a loop, just like that. So I'm gonna take this tag end and you're gonna wrap it in between this loop 5 to 7 times, and that is gonna form your knot. So 1, 2, and 3. It's really hard to count and talk at the same time, but 5 to 7 shouldn't be too bad. If ever you forget how many knots or wraps to make, just 5 to 7, and then you should get something that looks like that. Now all you're gonna do is you're gonna just tighten this down, just like that, and don't worry about cinching it all the way down. You're gonna do that when you pull it tight to the hook, and now you just put some pressure on your main line and tie it all the way down and cinch it down tight, just like that, and that is your Uni Knot. So basically you're just gonna trim this tag end with a pair of scissors. Here, we can do that right now. And there is your completed Uni Knot. Now that is a really nice, really tough knot that is not going anywhere. So now let me show you how to do this with a lure as well. It's just as easy. It works for mono, works for braid. Let's go to the next one. All right, next up, let me show you how easy this works just for a lure as well. Now, this is Mono-Filament. I just used braid in the previous episode. I'm using high-vis line just so you could see it, but it's just the same exact thing. So here's the ring to your lure right here. You're gonna pass that line through. You're gonna pull it up. You're gonna fold it over itself, just like that. And now that tag end, you're gonna make a loop. So just like that. So there you go, I got the lure here, I got my loop here, and I'm gonna pass this tag end through the loop 5 to 7 times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's do one more just to be sure. And there you go. So now you should end up with something like this. And now you're gonna cinch it down just like we did before. And you're gonna pull it down. Again, don't worry about getting it all the way tight right there. You're gonna take your lure, you're gonna pull this down nice and easy, and look at that, cinched right down on a beautiful, beautiful knot that is not going anywhere. Super strong, super secure. Mono, braid, lures, hooks, doesn't matter. It's a great way to hook up all your gear to your line to go fish. And all right, fish-a-lots, let's get to one of my favorite ways to use a Uni Knot, and that is to spool all of my fishing reels. And so this applies for both spinning reels right here or bait casting reels right here. It works just as good. It's so easy and it cinches down so nice on an empty spool. You never, ever, ever have to worry about your line spinning on the spool independently of you reeling it in. Nothing is more frustrating when you're done spooling up your fishing reels, you go to reel it in and you got that issue where it's spinning, and that's pretty much just because the knot you used to secure it wasn't secure enough or tight enough to actually get that line in there. So I'll show you exactly why the Uni Knot is so great for this. So first off, let me show you how to do this with a spinning reel. Now the beauty about this with the Uni Knot is you don't even need the spinning reel. So you can literally just put this aside and start tying your knot just with your line and then secure it when you're done. So first step here is just to fold the line over itself. Give yourself plenty of room. So it's gonna be your loop here. Go all the way down to where your tag end is right here, and you're gonna make the Uni Knot loop. So that's all you're gonna do. So there's your loop, okay? There's your tag end, and there's a big loop that you made right there. Now what you're gonna do, of course, is you're gonna take that tag end, just like before, and you're gonna pass it through the loop 5 to 7 times. So 1, 2, right there, 3, 4, 5 is good. So there you go. So you got 5 loops. You're gonna end up with something like that. You got your tag end, you got your wraps, you got your loop, and you got your big loop right over there. So take your tag end, you're just gonna tighten it all down just like that. Looks just like a uni knot. There you go. Don't worry about cinching it all the way down. And now you're left with this big loop right here. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take that line, you're gonna fold it into itself, and you're gonna make 2 loops. Just like that. So let me show that to you again. Here's your big loop. Okay, here's your uni knot. This is your big loop. You're just gonna make a smaller loop just like that. So you're basically gonna lasso your spinning reel right here. So now let's bring back in the spinning reel, and you're gonna wrap both lines around the spinning reel just like that. And you're gonna start pulling it tight, just like that. So now you got 2 wraps on the spinning reel, and of course, you're gonna put some pressure on that main line and start moving that uni knot right onto the reel, just like that. Now, when you get to about this point, what you're gonna do is, you're just gonna grab a piece of the line on the spool just to secure it, and you're gonna work that knot side to side. Just like that. And that will absolutely, there you go, you just saw that knot move. That will absolutely cinch it down and cinch it down tight. Just like that, there you go. So now there's no movement whatsoever. You see I'm pulling on it, trying to tug it. There's no movement on that line, and that line is just wrapped so snug around that spool. There is gonna be no line movement when you start reeling in your fishing line onto your new spool. And that is the uni knot. I mean, super easy, super effective, and super, super secure. Take a look at that. All right, next up is gonna be the bait casting reel. So just as easy, only with a bait casting reel, you're gonna have to work with your line and the reel itself. So in this case, I'm gonna grab Mono-Filament. I just wanna show you how easy it works with mono and braid. And of course, you're gonna have to pass your line through that level wind right there, because it is actually how you reel in the line. Just gonna pass it on down, and you're gonna do the same thing. You're going to want to wrap the line around this spool right here. And the easiest way to do that is by just grabbing like a pair of pliers, needle nose pliers or something, and pull. You can see that line down in there, right there. You see it moving on the back of the reel. Just reach down there and grab it with some scissors or a pair of pliers. So this is J-Braid grips and scissors. Super awesome. Every time you buy J-Braid, they give this stuff to you. And there you go. So you're just gonna kind of pull that out. Just like that, and that's your first wrap. You're gonna do that a second time, just like we did with the spinning reel. So again, you're gonna put that down in there. There you go. It's easier if you just kind of grab the line on the back end there. You see, you can move it all around there. You see that line in the back. Grab whatever tool you want to use, whether needle nose pliers or whatever, and grab your fishing line. There you go. And you're gonna pull that through. So now you got both the lines through. You see that? So there you go. So now you got a loop, 2 loops around that spool, and that's what you want. So next step is you see where your line comes in through that spool. Go ahead and grab it like so. And this is going to be the line that you're going to work with to make the uni knot right here. So now this could not be easier. So you got your bait caster here, you got your tag end, and you got your main line, and it's going to be the exact same process. You're just going to make your loop, just like that. And now you're just gonna start twisting 5 to 7 times, and that's gonna make your uni knot. So 1, 2, 3, okay, right there, 3, 4, and 5. So easy day. So there you go. There's your loop that you're gonna create from the uni knot, and there's your 2 loops created on the spool itself. So now you're just gonna pull this tight, right? Just like you always do for the uni knot. Again, do not worry about cinching it all the way down, because that is not cinched all the way down, but that's okay, because now you're gonna give it a tug. Now look at that, it's gonna go right down into the bait, or I'm sorry, right down into the reel and secure just like that. And that's secured right away. So I'm still gonna go side to side, just to make sure it's 100% secured, and it is. Take a look at how nice that knot secured that line to that spool right there. There is nothing better than that right there. That is just cinched down so tight. Watch, I could actually pull this and start taking drag. Look at that. Look at that, it can't move. That's so secured on that bait caster right there. And that is exactly what you want. There is gonna be absolutely no way with that knot right there that this line can spin on this bait caster when I spool it up. And that is why the uni knot is so awesome for spooling your reels. All right, let's move on to the next one. Yes, Ben. You want to play with me? Can I film this real fast? Oh, look, it's Ben. Yeah, hi, YouTube. Uh-oh, here comes the other one. Here comes Finn. Oh, Finn wants to get on YouTube. Oh, look, it's Finn. It's Finn and Ben on the YouTubes. Oh, we're supposed to talk about knots. We're supposed to talk about knots. All right, next up, let's talk about snelling your hook. So I showed you how to tie a uni knot onto a hook or a lure, but what about snelling? Snelling is a great fishing technique to learn because there's so much strength in a snell knot, especially when you're fishing for some big fish. So same thing as before, you're gonna take your line, you're gonna pass it through the eye of your hook. You want that tag line facing away from your hook right here. And that is so that when this is secured and that fish does put some pressure on you, the way that this line is gonna tug on the inside of this eye is gonna help turn that hook and get you a nice big fish. So that hook will be right in that fish's face, just where you want it right there. Okay, let me grab that line right there. You're gonna make a loop along the shank of the hook. Okay, just like that, you see? So there's my tag end right there. There's a loop I made just right on the shank of the hook, right like that. And now we're gonna start making our wraps. So 5 to 7 wraps with this tag line around this loop, and you're gonna have yourself a perfect snell. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, 5 to 7 is fine. Here, I'll do 6 right here, just be in the middle. So now you got your tag end, you got your loop, you got your wraps. Just gonna take your tag end and your main line right here and just gonna start to pull it. And that is how you secure the wraps right there. Take a look at that. That is gonna cinch down really nice, just like that, and you're done. Pull that tight, and that is your snell knot for a hook. Now I'll show it to you again using monofilament and just how easy this is with either line. All right, now with monofilament, again, I'm just using some high-vis mono so you guys can see it. I'm gonna pass that line right through the eye of the hook. I'm gonna give myself plenty of line to work with. I'm gonna pinch that line right along the shank right there, and then I'm just gonna make my loop. Just like that. So now I'm ready to take that tag line, wrap it around that hook, and I'm gonna have a snelled hook right here. So there you go, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here, I'll do 7. I think that was 7 or 8, I'm not sure. So same thing. So now you have your hook, you have your loop, you have your wraps. I'm gonna grab a hold of the tag end right there, and I'm gonna take my main line and I'm just gonna start to pull it down, just like that. There you go. So I'm gonna just pull it all down. You see it all kind of comes together right there, and then just pull it tight. And there you go. That is the perfect snell for your hook using the universal knot. You gotta love it. And all right, so next up, the universal knot, the uni knot, is absolutely perfect for attaching 2 pieces of line together. So line to line connection knot. So mono to mono, braid to mono, fluoro to mono, whatever the case might be, the uni knot is absolutely a glorious knot to use for this, and I'll show you exactly why. Now, because I like sneaking in tips anywhere I can, take a look at this spool. This is just Trilene Big Game. And look at that spool. It's kind of unwieldy. You know, you got all your loops in it, and that's because monofilament has a lot of memory to it. What you could do to make this more usable and more workable is you could grab just something rubber. This is a Cuisinart like rubber, you know, stove mitt or something from the kitchen. You could use a leather belt. You could use just about anything. You grab the line and you just pull it right through the rubber. Now check this out. This is going to be one pull and you'll see how straight this line gets. There you go. Let me move this aside. There you go. Now take a look at that line. That line is perfectly straight, and now we can work with it. So let's introduce our braid and get to the double uni knot, which secures braid and monofilament together. So the reason why this is called the double uni knot, of course, is because you're going to tie 2 uni knots. So first steps first, you're going to cross the 2 tag ends. So this tag end is going to point this way, and this tag end is going to point this way. So I'm going to give myself plenty of line here, and of course, over my mono and my braid, I'm gonna form a loop, just like that. And this is gonna be one side of the uni knot. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is that braid is far less in diameter than mono or fluoro. So the way this knot works is the 2 knots are gonna push against each other. So I wanna do double the wraps on the braid side than I'm gonna do on the mono side. So on the mono side, I'm gonna do 5 to 7. On the braid side, I'll do 10 to 14. So I'm just gonna do 10 wraps on this one. I'll do 5 on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll show you why this is important at the end of this knot when we finally cinch it down. Of course, I'm going to lose count right here, but I'm pretty sure that's whatever, close to 10. It's not an exact science, so don't worry about it. So you should really end up with something like that. So there's your first uni knot right there. You're just going to tie it down just like we always do. Okay. You see that knot is forming perfectly fine. Again, don't worry. See, that's not cinched down all the way. Don't worry about it. It's going to cinch on itself when we do the mono side. So let's jump over to the mono side and I'll show you that. So now here's the mono tag end right here that we straightened out. So you see it didn't curl up, right? It like shot out of my hand. There's a great little tip right there with anything rubber or a leather belt or whatever. So I have the braid, I have the loop. Okay, I'm gonna secure it with another loop, the uni knot, right? It's always loops around itself. And we're gonna pass that through the loop again 5 times. I think I did 10 on the braid side, so I want to do it 5 times. Double the side on the braid than you're going to do on the mono. That's the key. So there you go. You're going to end up with something like that. That's the beginning of your knot. You're going to tighten it down. Again, don't worry if it doesn't tighten down exactly super tight. You see it's not quite finished right there. You see that? It's kind of a little bit unruly. That's okay. Now I'm going to show you why that's all right. So here's our 2 knots. The mono knot is right there. The braid knot is right here. Let's take a look. So we're going to pull on both ends. Those are our 2 main lines and take a look. There they go. Now they're secured. You see how they tightened up and secured against each other right there? That is the double uni knot. And basically what gives this knot so much strength, that those 2 knots right there are constantly pulling against each other. Now the reason why you want to do double wraps on this braid side is again, because this is much lower in diameter. So what you don't want to do is have this braid knot slip through the mono because of its low diameter. So that's why you do double the wraps. That makes it almost impossible for it to slip through and you'll never have an issue with this knot. Another benefit to the uni knot is you don't fold over any line. So with the Alberto knot, you're going to fold over your mono like that and the knot actually squeezes the 2 monofilament ends together and that doubles the size of your knot. So this knot right now is super thin, super strong, and is super easy to tie. So if you're new to line connection knots, start off with the uni knot before going up to the Alberto knot or the FG knot or anything like that. See how it works for you. This is an easy knot. It's super strong and it is low in diameter, so you don't have to worry about destroying your knot when you reel it through the guides of your rod. Now yet another great use of the universal knot, the uni knot, is actually a stopper knot. It's basically a knot that you tie on your main line here to prevent bobbers or whatever else from sliding up your line. It's great for rigging, it's great for stinger rigs, and it's great, of course, for bobbers. So now this is what's called a peg float, right? And the way this works is you stick your line through the peg float, just like that. Okay, and basically you can set your depth with this peg. So you have a peg float, you stick your peg into the float, and now your float is secured to your line, and you can slide it up and down your line. So for example, if my hook is here, and I want to increase the length of my fishing line, so I want to fish at greater depth, I simply pull it up, and now I have more distance between the bobber and the hook at the end of this line here. Now, what if you're not fishing with a peg float, and you're fishing with these type of floats? These are called slip floats. There's all sorts of different kind of bobbers and stuff, but slip float is basically, you're gonna put this onto your line, and you're gonna allow it to freely move up and down your line. We use very similar techniques like this, like when we're drum fishing with certain weights. We want the weights to only slide a certain distance, and the best way to do this, of course, is by using a uni knot and some line to secure on the end of this line to stop the float. So it's called a stopper knot. So now let's say that you wanted to have a stopper knot right here, so you didn't want your bobber to go any further than this point on your line. Well, super easy. All you do is you're gonna get your line, you're gonna form a loop, just like every uni knot, and you're gonna form that loop around your monofilament, your fluoro, whatever you're securing the bobber to. So basically, we're gonna take this tag end and we're gonna wrap it 4 or 5 times, whatever. 5 to 7 times is usually my rule of thumb. So there's 2, there's 3, and 4, 4. And this is actually like nylon line. It's not like monofilament, but I'm gonna show you a little trick here in a bit. So you should have something like that, okay? So there's my wraps. It's a little unwieldy only because it was wrapped up on that little peg. But there you go, there's your wraps. You're gonna secure this now. And the more wraps you do, the more secure this knot will be. But there you go. See, I tightened it down, and now you have this super neat uni knot attached to your main line. Now check it out. Here's your bobber, and it's a stopper knot. So as your float is going down your line, it hits your line and it stops. Now, of course, with this, you're going to secure this. You're going to cut off your tag ends here. Yep. Again, you don't have to worry about how close you're cutting the tag ends because this actually has nothing to do with your line. This just has to do with the stopper knot. So there you go. The tag lines are trimmed, and now you have your stopper knot just like that. You see the bobber will hit the knot right here and it'll stop it. Now, same thing. Let's say your hook is over here and you want a greater distance between the bobber and your knot. Well, you just slide it right up the line just like that. See that? And now once again, your bobber cannot go past your stopper knot. And that is just another great use of the uni knot is the stopper knot. You want the bobber a little closer to the hook, move it back down, move the bobber, there you go. And that is as far as it can go right there. So there you go, fish lot. It's a good old stopper knot using a uni knot. Perfect. And all right, so let me show you another trick with a uni knot and a stopper knot. So here's my main monofilament here, right? It's clear. And of course, I'm just gonna use high vis mono just for some contrast. This couldn't be easier. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna cut off a piece of mono, right? This could be from your main line or a spool or wherever. And now you have your line. So instead of the string, you're just gonna use monofilament. So you take your main line and it's the same exact thing. You're gonna take the line you just cut and you're gonna make a loop. Just like that. So now you're just gonna take your tag end and you're gonna wrap it. Again, 5 to 7 times, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you get good at this, you kind of do what I do. You just kind of use your fingers. And now you're gonna get something like that. That's your uni knot. So you're gonna take both tag ends right here and you're gonna pull them tight. And you're gonna secure that uni knot, just like that. So there you go. Now, this uni knot is gonna serve as your stopper knot, just as it did before. See, so you can still move it up your line, you can move it down your line, just like that, and check it out. As you move it up, here's your bobber again, stopped. It's not gonna go any further past that monofilament right there. So again, this is a great way to control your bobber and where it is on your line. You could be fishing with a Santee Cooper rig, just a bottom rig, just a float to kind of elevate your baits off the bottom. Whatever the case might be, this is an absolutely great way to stop your bobber or even stop your hooks if you're fishing with stinger hooks or a slider rig or anything like that. So there you go. There's another great use for the uni knot. And all right, fish-a-lots, if you made it to this point in the video, nice. Now I'm gonna show you the bonus feature, and that is why the uni knot is so awesome to make a knot on top of a knot to make the knot even better. Don't worry, I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean in that super confusing little diatribe I had there. So first step, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie an FG knot. So don't worry, there's not gonna be an FG knot tutorial, although I do have FG knot tutorials. If you are interested, I will leave them in the link below. But of course, my first step is just to create some tension on my main line, and then I'm going to use my leader material to start making wraps. So just like that, and I just wrap back and forth, you know, alternating wraps, back and forth, just like this. And the goal here is 22 times for me. I do 22 wraps. Again, I'm not gonna get into great detail of why or what, and I'm gonna inevitably lose count while I do this, but don't worry about it. This is literally how easy an FG knot is to create, by the way. And again, I'm not quite sure how many wraps that is. You can tell I almost made a wrong wrap right there because I'm talking and trying to do a tutorial on a uni knot, not even an FG knot at the same time. But literally, that is how easy an FG knot is to make right there. You just do the loops, that's your FG, perfectly wrapped. I'm rushing through it, still did it perfect. All right, now what we're gonna do is get rid of our line, and we're just about to where the uni knot is really gonna come into play. So first step is take your braid, and you're gonna do a couple of half-hitch knots. Again, don't worry about it, it's not part of this particular tutorial, but basically you just wanna secure the wraps that you just did. Okay, so I usually use my teeth. Okay, so now you do alternating half hitches. I'll just do it right. I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression if they're following along for the FG knot. I usually do 2, okay? I do 2 alternating half hitches just like that. And the reason why I do that is because I just want to secure the wraps right here. The uni knot part comes right here. What a lot of people do is they stop with the half hitches. And what happens is those half hitches really make a abrasion, or they're just not smooth, right? It just kind of makes a smooth knot not smooth. You can feel this as it goes through the guides of your rod when you're reeling this in. So first and foremost, you always got to tighten down the FG knot. You always use like a shirt or something. Don't do what I'm doing and have the braid cut into your hand. But you know, the things I do for my fishelettes, you can literally tell that not biting into each other. See that? I'm not really moving it up and down, but you could tell that that mono and that braid, or that braid is biting into that mono because you can see that braid moving. So make sure it's secured. And now comes the uni knot part. So I got the clove hitch, which is 2 alternating half hitches. I'm going to cut the mono as close as I can to the braid. Don't worry about it, that knot is secured because we put so much pressure on it. And now comes the best part, and that is the uni knot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make my loop, and what I'm aiming to do with the uni knot is to make a ramp. You see how blunt that is right there? It's like a square right on the end of this beautiful FG knot, and you don't want that because it just beats the garbage out of your knot as you're bringing it in and out of your guides, and it also beats up your guides a little bit as well. So you're just gonna make your knot, or your loop, I'm sorry, just like any uni knot. So there you go. There's your loop, and you're gonna wrap it 5 times, 5 to 7 times, right? 2, 3, there we go, 4, and 5. Now you're gonna take this tag end and you're gonna secure it right here against the knot. See, there's a tag end. Here's my FG knot. I'm just gonna grab it just like that. Now I'm gonna reverse the uni knot. So this is called the risotto knot. This is called a whipping knot. This is essentially a reverse uni. So I'm just gonna now do the uni knot in reverse, wrapping it around my line, just like that. Wrap it, and you know you get to the end when you get to this point right here where the line is no longer wrapped around your main line. It's just a loop in your main line. So then what you're gonna do is grab those wraps, okay? You're gonna have some that looks like this. Grab those wraps, grab that tag line, and start pulling it tight, okay? There you go. Take a look. You're gonna pull it on down. I always use my finger to help guide the lines. What I don't wanna do is overlap all those wraps. So I just kind of use my finger there. You see it's kind of coming together right there. Sliding down, sliding down, sliding down. And now look at that. Now, if you take a look at that knot, look at that, you got a ramp. The uni knot makes a ramp right there at the end of your FG knot. This also applies to a PR knot as well, but look at that, there is your ramp. So it makes it just so smooth to bring this knot right through the guides of your rod right there. So yet again, another huge benefit of the uni knot, okay? You could even use the uni knot to secure a knot and make another knot even better. So there it is right there, a super, super awesome way to just make this so smooth as it goes in and out of your guides and even your reel. So if you really want to up your game with some knots just like this, go ahead and click on this video right here where I go deep into all the secrets, tips, and tricks to quickly, securely, and strongly tie knots just like this bad boy right here. All right, fishelettes, hope you got a lot of value out of this one. I'll see you out there on the water.